At the start of November, the eCOSTA Working Group, with the support and participation of the European Arboricultural Council, completed their latest efforts on the European Arboricultural Standards. They convened in Brussels to begin the next stage, the revision process. Join us as we take you inside this event, where experts from across Europe gathered to enhance and refine best practices. In particular, we'll highlight key discussions and amendments made to the tree pruning standard, the primary focus of this extensive international meeting of arboricultural professionals.
All right, jumping right in, we're doing a deep dive today, looking at two big happenings in European arboriculture. You've got the final meeting of the eCOST project, and right on its heels, the EAS Revision Working Group kicking off.
It's all very relevant for practicing arborists out there.
Absolutely. These events, they're shaping the standards you work with every day.
Yeah, get ready to unpack it all.
We will.
What's really interesting here is the connection. The eCOST project, that's European Consulting Standards in Tree Work, wrapped up recently after 3 years.
Okay.
And it builds on what came before, the TEST project, focusing on the more technical side of things. And both of these, they've been essential in building up the European arboricultural standards.
We're talking the EAS.
Exactly, the EAS, a whole framework to bring together to harmonize best practices across Europe. And what's especially interesting, this first revision working group meeting, they zeroed in on the tree pruning standard.
Oh, okay.
The one everyone's using day in, day out.
The bread and butter.
Right. So we're getting a sneak peek into potential changes that could really impact your work.
Definitely need to pay attention.
Laser focus. Revising the tree pruning standard, the EAS 01. Representatives from 11 countries plus Turkey, all there, meticulously reviewed all the pre-submitted comments, feedback, really getting into the nitty-gritty, what works, what needs to be clear, what might need to change.
So, taking it seriously, these standards are going to impact how thousands of arborists across Europe are taking care of trees.
Exactly.
Did they give any specific examples of what might change? Things our listeners, working arborists might actually encounter?
They did. There's this really interesting discussion about the step cut technique.
Ah, the classic 3-cut method.
The one we all learned to avoid bark ripping.
Right.
Yeah.
What's the debate there? Are they thinking of replacing it?
Not replacing, no, but they're calling for more clarification on that second step of the cut.
Okay.
Allowing more flexibility depending on the tree, branch size, the whole environment.
I like that. It gives the arborist the power to use their judgment. It's not just blindly following rules. It's about understanding the principles behind the technique.
Exactly. Good standards should guide you, but also allow for professional discretion.
Finding that balance.
Yes.
Now, let's dig a bit deeper into deadwood management, something we touched upon earlier. What's the takeaway for arborists?
Well, they're putting a strong emphasis on safety being the top priority when deciding about keeping deadwood. We want to encourage biodiversity, create habitat, all that, but
safety comes first.
It has to. You got to make sure it's not a risk to people or property.
A balancing act.
It is. And these revisions are really trying to give clear guidance on how to navigate that, making informed decisions, thinking about the ecology and the safety implications.
Especially in urban environments where safety is paramount. Okay, got to ask about this wound dressing. Always a hot topic.
The age-old question, to seal or not to seal. What are your thoughts?
Well, like a lot of arborists, I was taught to dress wounds, prevent infection, help healing, all that. But I don't know, I've always had this feeling about it.
A feeling?
Yeah, like slathering that goop on a fresh cut just felt unnatural somehow.
Yeah, you're not alone. Research is showing that wound dressings, they don't actually prevent decay or speed up healing.
Really?
In fact, sometimes they do more harm than good. Trapping moisture, creating a breeding ground for infection. And that's where these standards can make a real difference. Educating arborists, promoting the best practices based on the science.
So a well-intentioned practice might actually be doing more harm than good. But are they saying never use wound dressings, or are there exceptions?
Not saying never, no. But the revisions are asking for more detail on why dressing is generally not advisable.
Okay, makes sense. Now, how about crown lifting?
Ah, yes. Raising the canopy, providing that clearance.
Done my fair share of it.
Yeah.
Always eager to learn more, though. What's new on that front?
Well, the revisions highlight something important. Excessive crown lifting, it can actually compromise the tree's stability.
Really? I always thought of it as pretty harmless.
It can be, if done right.
Right.
But one reason excessive lifting can be bad is it raises the tree's center of gravity,
Oh, okay.
making it more likely to, topple in wind. Imagine a sailboat with a really tall mast, heavy sails.
Yeah,
Much more likely to tip over.
makes sense.
And the revised standards, they want a more detailed explanation of this and guidance on how to lift crowns safely, effectively, so you get the clearance you need without weakening the tree.
Now, gotta ask about veteran trees. What are the key things to keep in mind when pruning those grand old trees?
Well, the main thing is recognizing they need a special approach.
What makes them so different? Is it just the age, or is there more to it?
Age is a factor, of course,
Yeah.
but they've often been through a lot, internal decay, cavities, structural weaknesses, all things you have to consider carefully before you even think about pruning.
So it's more than just shaping the crown or removing deadwood. It's understanding the tree's history, its needs, the potential risks.
Exactly. And the revisions are calling for more guidance on this, recognizing it's a specialist area, requires deep understanding of tree biology, aging processes.
One last topic that caught my interest: palm tree pruning. What are the unique challenges of working with these iconic trees?
Palms. They bring that touch of the tropics to our urban landscapes, but they do require a different approach to pruning. For starters, palms aren't technically trees. They're monocots.
So their anatomy is completely different.
Exactly. And that means pruning techniques that work well for traditional trees might not be appropriate for palms.
So what are the key takeaways for arborists working with palms? What do we need to know to prune them correctly?
Well, one of the main things is understanding the unique growth patterns of palms and how pruning can impact their health and structure. For example, unlike trees, palms don't have dormant buds along their trunks, so removing a leaf permanently reduces the tree's photosynthetic capacity.
I see. It's not like a tree where you can cut back a branch and expect new growth to emerge from the cut. With palms, once a leaf is gone, it's gone for good.
Exactly. So it's crucial to prune palms carefully. Only remove leaves that are absolutely necessary. In the revised standards, they're aiming to provide clear guidance on how to prune palms effectively and safely, respecting their biology, ensuring their long-term health.
This has been an incredibly insightful deep dive into European arboriculture.
It's clear the European arboriculture community is committed to establishing and maintaining these high standards of practice, constantly evolving, adapting to new knowledge and challenges. That's something to be proud of.
Absolutely. It's a dynamic time to be in the field, with all this new research and innovation shaping how we care for trees.
So stay informed, engage with these standards, and keep raising the bar for arboriculture through your dedication and expertise.
Until next time, keep reaching for the canopy.
A big thank you to all participants for their hard work, dedication, and the generosity in sharing their expertise. Their contributions are essential in enhancing these invaluable industry resources that support arborists across Europe. If you appreciate staying up to date on industry happenings, don't miss our brand new podcast, Talking Trees with Lily and Jad. Starting December 1st, they'll be your guides through all topics related to European arboricultural standards and much more. Tune in on all your favorite podcast platforms.
I represent the Hungarian Arboricultural Association.
And I'm the director of Lithuanian Arboricultural Association.
Hello, I'm Tommy from Finland.
It's Enrique from the Spanish Arboricultural Association.
Hello, I am Selim from Turkey.
It's been really fruitful and very, very interesting discussions.
And it was really nice meeting and actually we are focusing on the tree health and the care in our country also, and this meeting was really good opportunity to see all experts together and share some insight together.
I hope this will be continuously done with the other standards and to increase the level of the arboricultural knowledge in Europe. So thank you very much, muchas gracias, and see you next time.
Nagyon jó volt itt lenni, köszönjük szépen.
Her şey çok daha güzel olacak ağaçlar içinde.
Mukava päästä tähän ryhmään mukaan, kiitos.
É prazer imenso estar com o Conselho Europeu de Arboricultura a discutir as questões das normas europeias de arboricultura.
Aš labai džiaugiuosi būdamas šitoje gynėjimo standartų peržiūros grupėje ir tikiuosi, kad jie padės gerti pagrindą darbams Europoje.